Greetings, hello, welcome on in. I am Unoptimized Fool. Welcome to another weekly installment of WoW News. Again, this week's going to be a little bit lighter than last week. We had a ton of news last week, about 11.1.7, but obviously we still have some things trickling in, which I'll be talking about here. Now again, last week, guess the location area. No one got the area. Now, obviously, it was a bit too hard, right? I think, in my opinion. But this was actually near a lake near Shatrith, looking into Zanglamar Marsh, right? Now, again, someone almost got it. They were really close, but I'm looking for a lot of detail, right? So remember, when you guess this location, to send screenshots, tell me the exact location, or even better, post you in the exact camera angle. That's going to be even trickier, right? Now, again, this is going to be open. I'm going to be changing it actually from 24 hours to about 7 days for the whole week, right? Now, again, usually the early bird gets the worm, but sometimes, guys, the second mouse gets the cheese, right? So I'm going to keep it open for a whole week just so people who are coming in later have a chance to guess this location. This one's going to be a little bit easier, so take a gander. Again, there'll be a second angle that you're going to see on the end of the episode. Definitely stay in this episode so you can check it out. And one thing before we get to the news, again, I always say this, but join the spotters. We are a retail guild doing a lot of content. We have full cleared normal, right? We killed Muggsy in one shot this week. Okay, that's impressive, by the way. So again, join us. We do raiding content, we do Mythic Plus content, and honestly too, if you do other content than that, join in and then start up a group, right? Get some more people interested. We're always looking for more content to do. So definitely check out the spotters. We are a retail guild, so definitely check that out. But again, let's get right into the news, guys, because there's some content that we need to dive into. Alright guys, the first piece of news comes from PAX East, which by the way is a gaming convention that just wrapped up. Now Blizzard was there and they did announce a bunch of stuff for World of Warcraft there. Now, one of those announcements is a new game mode, right? So think of like Plunderstorm, which is a new game mode that recently came out, and also the remix system, right? Now, Blizzard did say that this new game mode is going to be not a battle royale, right? So it's not going to be another battle royale. Plunderstorm is going to be the only battle royale that we have in this game, which is something weird to even say, right? World of Warcraft has a battle royale. That's crazy. They did mention, though, that they did have a shot in the background with all this information. It was Darkshire, right? That's going to be inside of Duskwood, right? Next to Westfall, right? The spookier vibes, right? The very, a lot of creepy crawlies inside that zone, right? It's a spooky zone. Now, they did say that it was going to have some spooky vibes, right? So, again, we don't have a battle royale. Obviously, it might be, PvE, I would say. I don't think they're going to do it in their PvP system. Again, we don't have any more information outside of this. Now, people are assuming that maybe it's, inspired by the Salem witch trials, or maybe even like Among Us clone inside of World of Warcraft. It's going to have definitely spookier vibes. So if you're into scary stuff in World of Warcraft, you might be enjoying this new content. But yeah, I just wanted to mention this again. Not a lot of information. They did just announce it, and we just have the basic information. But obviously, more information will probably come out. But we're probably not going to see this for a while, but they definitely did want to mention it. So I'll keep you guys updated on anything new that comes to this system. Alright guys, and now the next piece of news is actually another thing that they announced at PAX East. So there was a conference about an hour long that they talked about all this stuff. So I definitely suggest you watching it all just in its entirety. You'll get a lot more information than this recap. But they officially announced that Legion Remix is going to be our next remix system. Now we've talked about Remix here in the past, and we have basically said 99% sure that the next remix is going to be Legion. Just based off of the leaks, based off of the information we saw from some of the data mining that we saw. But now it's been officially confirmed by Blizzard Entertainment that that's the next remix system. So we can no longer speculate. It's now set in stone. So obviously, when it comes to like compare Mists of Pandaria to Legion, Legion is a lot more complex than Mists of Pandaria, obviously, right? I mean, every expansion that we have out, the complexity goes up. Obviously, the tech gets you a bit better, but when tech gets better, usually the complexity gets you a bit better, right? So again, it makes sense that Legion's a little bit more complex. So they said that they're working actively on this new system, right? So now, obviously, when are we going to get this? They did not release any, release date for this, but obviously, we saw the last remix at the end of this expansion, so we'll probably see that again this time. Now, they did mention Mythic Plus. Now, again, Mythic Plus was introduced inside the Legion expansion, and that is going to be available for the remix system. Now, they even talked about how that with the revamp, with the, you know, kind of the power that escalates over time, and with remix systems that we saw in Mists of Pandaria, it's probably going to be pretty crazy on how far we can get with Mythic Plus. So definitely looking forward to that. But there's something new that they're adding in to the remix system, right? So with Legion coming out, they're going to be introducing a world tier. Now, this world tier, if you increase your world tier, it's going to increase the damage that the enemies in the open world do. Now, again, with Legion, you also had world quests, right? So obviously this is going to affect that. Now, on the other side, you get more rewards, a little bit better rewards, probably some transmog, right? There's a ton of transmog to get inside the remix system. Now, this system is directly inspired by the Diablo system, where you have world tiers. Now, again, this is a brand new system. So it looks like remixes are morphing into, here's the old expansion, here's some great power, here's some transmogs to grind out, and also here's some new systems. It looks like Blizzard is in the experimental age of their game design, right? Look at Season Discovery, look at what happened with Plunder Storm, look at the remix system in general, right? They're experimenting, and the new game mode, right, that they're going to be adding in. We are definitely in the age of experimentation with Blizzard, and I am loving it, right? So again, when I have more details, I'll definitely let you know, but Remix is coming, and it's going to be Legion. All right, guys, this next piece of news has to do with time walking. Now, we're used to time walking, right? And again, in 11.1.7, we're going to be having the turbulent time waves system come back for the third time. And again, that's going to be just, you know, time walking after time walking after time walking, as well as we're seeing BFA coming back. But that's not what this article is about. We are now learning that in 11.1.7, time walking is getting yet another change, right? Difficulty is increasing, right? The scaling is increasing. The amount of damage that the bosses and the enemies inside these dungeons are also increasing. Now, you're probably wondering, why is this happening? Now, let's go back in the past here. Now, originally, time walking was when we would go into the dungeon, say, for example, with the Burning Crusade, we would scale down to that content, which was, you know, a bit difficult in times, and there would be some weird one-shot issues. Blizzard then changed it to where the content scales up to us. Now, people in that moment, before this system did come out, we saw a lot of people saying, oh, they're going to make it too hard, it's going to be too crazy, no one's going to want to play it. When it came out, it was around the same. Like, when the content scaled to us, it was actually, I would even argue that it was a little bit easier, and we still dealt with some of those weird one-shot mechanics. But now, with this new system, they're obviously making it a little bit harder, and again, it's going to be harder by default, but time walking is still pretty easy to do regardless, right? I don't think they're going to be making it extremely hard, like hardcore. Again, there's a lot of casuals. The majority of the players who play this game are casuals, right? They're not going to make it too hard, but obviously they don't want it to make it super easy where it's just like a walk in the park, right? So I think we're going to see, obviously, the difficulty increase. We saw this type of scare when they changed the system before, being that scare being, oh, they're going to make it too hard, no one's going to want to play it, right? Obviously now, they're going to be definitely tweaking it a bit, making it a little bit harder, but I don't think it's going to be making it like a hardcore system. But yeah, look forward to, again, 11.1.7, a lot of time walking, but you tanks out there, be careful what you pull, because you're going to be dealing with some a lot harder content. Alright guys, I want to talk about something that is releasing today. Now, this video usually goes live before the servers go live, so I want to talk about what's coming today, right? So we are now going to be going into the Turbo Boost section of this season. Now, what does that mean? Now, the Turbo Boost gives us a lot of options, right? Now, the Puzzling Cartel chips are coming out, which will help us access gear that are maybe locked behind harder bosses on harder difficulties, right? So again, this will help you acquire some gear. Now, the bigger changes, though, come with crests. Now, as you guys know, right now and the week before, and you know, ever since the start of the season, we had caps on our crests, right? Meaning we can only get X amount of crests per week, and obviously every week the crest cap would go up. Now we are free. That means that we have no longer have the cap on. Now again, I am a huge supporter of no caps, right? I don't like caps. I think they limit play, and just go the speed you want to go, right? Again, some people disagree with me. That's okay. Now, again, there'll be no caps on crests. You can get as much gilded as you want from any source that you want. Now, with this change, we also see Valor Stones getting a change. They are now war-bound currency, meaning you can send your Valor Stones from your main to your alt, so they can, you know, don't have to slog through some lower keys to get some item upgrades. Again, this was not accessible before this, but now it is. And again, I want the system to be all the time. Why not have that accessibility? I think it wouldn't really ruin the system too much. The last change we're seeing today is changes to hero and mythic gear. Now, right now, before this video, right, we had hero and mythic gear go up to 6 ranks. Now, with this turbo boosted season, they are now go up to 8 ranks, so we get 2 additional ranks. So if you're hero locked and just trying to get mythic content done to get mythic track items, you can now get 2 items. Now the average boost of item level that we're probably going to see today for every character is around 2 to 3, especially if you're higher end, which is pretty crazy. So definitely, look forward to this. Again, no caps on crests. Valor Stones are now Warbound currency, and now you have 2 more ranks to just grind out. And I think this grind out system for the 2 ranks should be added in mid-season, just to give some goblins some more stuff to do, right? It adds content. I don't think it actually limits it. But yeah, guys, enjoy that system. And again, grind out some more stuff because, again, it helps with the raids. Obviously, the higher item level you have, the higher your stats are, which means more damage or healing that you do. So definitely look out to that and get grinding, guys. Alright guys, it's here, my weekly yap about the renown system inside the raid. Again, this renown is only accessible inside the raid, killing raid bosses every week, and the lieutenants inside the raid. Now, last week we saw rank 11. Now when this video comes out, rank 12 is available, but with rank 11, we have this new currency. Right now, again, this currency is just for cosmetics. It's not going to upgrade your gear or anything. You get 1 per character. That means that technically if you log into another character and get into the raid, you have 1 waiting for you. So that means that each character you have will have 1 of these chips. And again, when you go into this guy, again, he's going to be in the top level of the raid inside the hotel. Big guy, big brute, and he's going to have 7 pages of cosmetics. Again, it's just cosmetics, right? So, but you have to choose wisely though, because you only get 2 of these coins per character. And again, the amount of characters you have are technically limited. Again, you have to be max level to get into the raid anyway, into a raid group. So you just can't make new characters, get the raid ship, and go in. You have to be max level. So it's going to be a little bit harder to do this type of content and to farm it. But you can exchange 1 of these chips for a cosmetic item. Again, choose wisely. You only get 2 per character, but it's per character though, so it's not per account, right? So log on to different characters, get into a raid group, just turn it in for more cosmetics. But yeah, there's 7 pages, so there's a lot of content to get. But you can technically still get those cosmetics from, the actual items that you get inside the raid. But obviously, if you want to get a dagger as a 2-handed arms warrior, that would be definitely the play. But yeah, I just want to talk about this again. Every week I talk about the ranks that come out the week prior. Again, I don't like to talk about what's coming out today just because usually people like to self-discover that. But this is just a reminder for people who forgot about it that system is now out. So rank 11 is now here, guys. Alright guys, now last week I talked about a whole bunch of systems coming in 11.1.7, and one of those systems was Lorewalking, right? And he's going to be basically showing us 3 different stories discussing events, kind of getting everyone kind of updated into the modern lore, as well as there's some breadcrumbs from the leaks that we saw that are actually new content, some new stuff that we want to talk about. Now, I want to talk about the rewards. Now, again, some of these rewards are pretty cool, right? So one of the rewards for doing the Xalatath one is the little Xalatath toy that you spawn in, and it's going to whisper to you some Xalatath whispers, right? So it's going to give you schizophrenia, right? But it's a pretty cool toy. Now, the one that you do for the Ethereals is actually going to turn you into an Ethereal for about 5 minutes. And the one for the Lich King, that when you complete it, will actually turn you into the Lich King, a ghostly figure of the Lich King. So it's pretty cool toys. I wanted to talk about that because, again, I mentioned last week that we don't really know what the rewards are for this, but it looks like there's just a bunch of cosmetic items for this. Again, nothing too crazy. This is mostly meant for getting people, caught up with the lore that's going to be in this trilogy, and also giving us some breadcrumbs for the old players just to follow some more. So enjoy it, and definitely enjoy those toys once you complete them. Alright guys, the last article that I want to talk about today has to also do with Lorewalking, right? So we have the 3 main storylines that he's going to be introduced, but through data mining, we found a 4th story that is not available for right now. We don't know if it's cut content, we don't know if it's going to be released later, but I suspect that it's going to be for later, because this storyline has to do with the Blood Elves and the Void Elves, just an elf in general, right? So it's talking about the lore with that. Now, why is that important? Why do I think that's not cut content? Is because we know in Midnight there is going to be some revamped elf architecture, as well as storylines, as well as we are going to be going into those general areas and diving into the lore there. So they're going to be heavily in Midnight. So that's why I think that eventually in 11.1.7, we're going to see some additional stories come out, probably this one, to, again, catch up players that don't know the story to that storyline, so Midnight's not like, well, what is this to them? And also to give us lore goblins some extra breadcrumbs going into Midnight. So remember, this 11.1.7 is supposed to leapfrog us into 11.2, which 11.2 is then supposed to leapfrog us into Midnight. So again, I just want to talk about this. It could be cut content, but I think it's not. I think it's going to be some content that is probably going to be released here in the future. It just needs some more cooking. All right, guys, that is all the news for this week. I do appreciate it. Again, we had some more details pop up this week, and it's probably going to be like for the next couple of weeks. It's just trickling down some more data mining, some more stuff from Blizzard themselves, right? Again, we take information from Blizzard a little bit heavier and more truthful than the data mines. Obviously, data mines can change over time. And to be fair, Blizzard has said things and then it doesn't happen anyway. But again, this is the location again, different angle. You have 7 days to guess it. Obviously, I'll respond to everyone who does guess this location if you're right or wrong. Look out for that. But again, thank you guys for hanging out. Now, if you love World of Warcraft news and want to get daily content, I have daily content on my X page, so definitely check me out on Optimized Fool on X. I have daily videos going into more depth on topics just like we talk about in here. But again, I love World of Warcraft. I hope you love World of Warcraft too. I mean, it makes sense if you're watching this. And I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you guys next week.